The Age of Disclosure. It's a big documentary about UAPs that aired at the South by Southwest Film Festival, and there's already a lot of talk about it. It's a highly regarded documentary, and a lot of mainstream coverage has taken place because of it and because of the people that are involved in it. And Variety has covered it, as ABC covered it. There's been a bunch of reviews that cover it because it's a highly touted film festival. So there was actually someone in the crowd who saw it, and they went over details about what it covers. So I'm going to read this tweet. So if you don't want to know anything about the documentary, then I'd say tune out. But for me, this isn't a scripted movie. This is a documentary, and I want to know what the hell is in it, and I want to know the news that's in it, and I want to know if it's relevant. And I want to know this now. So for me, I want to hear this stuff. For you guys, if you don't want to hear it, you want to wait for the documentary, well, there you go. You've been warned. Let us get into it. Here is the tweet, and it is from Jiggy, who says, I got to see Age of Disclosure at South by Southwest tonight. Said the sucker was dense with information and similar to the program. Of course, James Fox's documentary covered a lot of the recent happenings. It was impactful to hear a similar message from so many in this film. A great primer for the normies as well. Now, here's the spoiler alert. I'm going to hit you with some things that stuck out to me that were new or interesting. Irrefutable evidence, including video that does exist. Not that they showed it, they're just saying that it exists. That's what I'm gathering from this. Jay Stratton and Lou Elizondo tell their story in a way that came off as scripted, or at least meticulously laid out. Hal Puthoff confirmed that he worked with other scientists in the legacy program we don't know about. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was briefed on the crash retrieval program to anticipate the economic impact if Trump were to hold a disclosure press conference. The CIA Science and Technology Division runs the CR program with more knowledge than the politically appointed CIA director. This goes back to the creation of the CIA months after Roswell by Truman in 1947. Hal articulated details on how the crash retrieval program works. DOE is outside of the normal classification system, which is why they've been able to keep it secret. Hal says there are multiple species. Russia recovered an 80-foot Tic Tac with humanoid bodies and directed energy weapon. President George H. Bush told Eric Davis details of several CRs since the 40s and the meetings and beings at Holloman AFB. The Vatican knows the truth about NHI, and they've covered it up. The UFO incident in Stephenville, Texas, involved President W's ranch, and the CIA showed up and denied Jay Stratton access. Secretary of State Rubio spoke on how defense contractors claim UAP tech as their own. Puthoff and Davis talk about the propulsion bubbles and photos that show their effects. UFO pictures are fuzzy due to this. 0-point energy and energy derived from quantum entanglement is real, according to Eric Davis. The risk of letting this technology out is a big part of the secrecy. Jay says intense information shouldn't be revealed, and it didn't seem like he meant technology. Pretty much an admission that reverse engineering UAPs exist from Puthoff. A group of 27 threatened to kill Lou and Grush. Puthoff had a hopeful message that we may go to the stars. Lou's message that you'll say, I wish I would have known sooner, was ominous. The Q&A. Jay Stratton had an intensity about him. He said he showed Congress where NHI tech was at, and they were denied. Advocated for people to get involved to overcome this. He's worried about China and Russia getting this tech first, which would be checkmate. Hal Puthoff thinks progress is being made and mentioned his work with National Science and Technology Organization that recently started a UAP effort. Okay, yes, there is a lot of big information there. The prepping for if there was an actual conference of disclosure from President Trump, the admission of the program itself, the idea of the admission of how many different species there are, the continued admission of NHI in general, all of that. I think that he says it well in the beginning. In the same way what I said about the program. I sent the program to a friend who was kind of on the, how is it? How do you know this type of stuff is, why should I even believe any of this stuff? I said, did you know this about Schumer? Did you know this about Rounds? Did you know this about this person? He had no clue about it. I said, watch this documentary. Just watch this thing that this guy James Fox did. And he said it was pretty compelling, and it is that was it was, and I said it when I reviewed it. I said it was more for people who didn't know the topic. I think, as this guy says, who gave this really good breakdown, by the way, of what he saw, there is some stuff in there that you go, wow, that's interesting that they're talking about that. In the same way that Hal Puthoff seems to be talking more, he seemed to be talking more to James Fox in the program. He seems to be talking more in this documentary, and it could be very, very interesting that he's doing it because more information is coming out. They said that video exists. We've heard that before. They said that all this other proof exists. We've heard that before. This is going to be, even if there is tidbits of new information, it is again going to get new people interested in the topic. The I don't want to say skeptical side, but I guess I'll say the negative side for me is, here's the negative. A lot of this is the same people that we're hearing talk about, as far as people who are not the normies, right? For people who have just been following this subject for a little while now, that know the players of the game, who have heard the same things over and over again, for those people. And it is very beneficial to get new people involved, because this is, I'm going to jump away from the negative for a second. I'm going to go to the positive. The positive is it brings in new people to talk about this subject and say, okay, we have so many people within the government and high-level people who say this, 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 and this. The coverage that this is getting, I always complain about the mainstream coverage. It was hilarious. I know my last video, somebody wrote like, oh, you know, for somebody who criticizes the mainstream media, if it wasn't for the mainstream media not covering it, you wouldn't really be covering this that much. Like, first of all, I talk about this because I don't cover it like I've talked to this many times over. I don't talk about this as a seasoned research person. I talk about this in a way that I see news. I mentioned this yesterday in my video. I see news. I talk about it in the same way that I would any news story, because I'm interested in this topic in the way I would be interested about other stories. I want to know about this topic, and I wish more people would know about it, so I would talk about it in general. And my hope is that for what I do and what other people do and what mainstream media does, is that people who don't know this kind of information pay attention to it. And this documentary here, because it's in the South by Southwest Festival, is getting a lot of press because of it. I've had people who are like, hey, look at this. Check this out. Did you know about this? I was like, I knew about it, but the fact is you're texting me about it, now you know about it. So if all this information comes out, and this is the first thing, as I mentioned, for maybe you know this, maybe you don't know this, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever I started getting into this topic, the reason I kind of stumbled upon a documentary on National Geographic, which was a 6-part series exploring investigate UFOs and investigating the unknown is what the name of it was. It was like a 6-part series, and I just devoured it when I was watching. Maybe that's what this will be for people with a lot more information. If I discovered this for the first time, I'm like, holy shit, like all these different people and high-level people are talking about this, because in that documentary, it doesn't talk about confirmation that there is indeed bodies, or that were the fact that Russia discovered another Tic Tac with remains in it, the fact that the Vatican covered it up. And again, if you've been covering this long enough, you've heard that. And even when David Grush said about that crash that happened, I think in the 30s, way before Roswell, and that's what had happened from the Vatican had gotten involved, called the U.S., yada, yada, yada. So there's a lot of positives there, that this could get people talking about this subject, and it makes it less taboo the more people see it and start. And I mentioned a friend of mine who recently was talking about this and still giving it that taboo feel of saying that all of the crazy people are the people who talk about UFOs. Just hasn't had the kind of information. Maybe he watches this and goes, oh, they're really talking about this thing within Congress, there are people who are talking about this and they're being shut out. And the other idea of the fact, giving some more information that we didn't have, as far as why you can't see these things, as far as the footage goes, as far as who's been shut down, and the fact that it looked like Jay Stratton was the one. Remember that the meeting, I think it was Luna and Gates, and I think it was Garcia. I'm not sure, that were taken to see footage, and they were denied access to craft or whatever it might be. They were denied access to it. And I think that's what he's referring to there. Okay, so that's all the positives that all the information came in. The negatives is for the people who are not the normies and people who are following it. it's the same cast of characters that are saying essentially the same things that we've seen, the things like, hey, there's real footage out there. To all of our answers is what? Where is it? Where's that footage? It's not the egg video. So, you know, there's going to be that, well, what you're getting people involved in it, and this isn't that groundbreaking thing that is going to force disclosure, or will it? Because of the previous point that I made. If now more people start to watch this and more people start to get involved in it, and it does pique the curiosity, does it ultimately push towards one of these things that they are preparing for? The conversation of, hey, here's the conversation, there's the disclosure conversation we're going to have, here's the announcement, this is what we were prepping for, it's happening. The reason why I don't think that's happening is the same reason I said in my previous videos. I think because of the people who have this power and were able to, as they mentioned, keep this stuff quiet, there is the same reason it pushed towards the administration saying, oh, those drones were FAA approved. FAA, what? They were? Huh? And never addressed. So I feel like we are going on this round and round and round and round thing with, hey, look, here comes some information. For as long as I've been covering this, I know there's been tons of you out there that have been following this topic for 30 years ago. And 2 years, you're worried about this for 2 years? The amount of information we've got in 2 years trumps a lot of the stuff that we were doing over the last 30 years. Stay patient, young one. I get it. And I've heard that from some of you, and I understand. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it is this kind of round and round and round we go. Here's some big information. Here's some big information. Loops of nothing, loops of nothing, loops of nothing, chasing your tail. Because it was interesting that they said that it seemed like Lou Elizondo was fairly scripted. So what comes out of this? I do feel, as I listed both the positives and the negatives, I do feel that the positives for this one do outweigh the negatives because of my personal thing with media coverage and the fact that I think that it is very important, contrary to that commenter's belief. I think that it is something that I would love to see. I would love to see mainstream media cover this all of the time. All of the time. I think that if it's can be proven, this stuff that's in there, it's a bigger story than anything else that's going on in the news. It changes everything. The technology that they have, the fact that other governments are trying to get a hold of it, the fact that they said it's a game changer, you know, it's essentially checkmate if these other countries get it. It's a lot there. And I wonder what this is going to lead to. Or is it going to just be another story that we've covered that, oh, whatever happened to that documentary? Because as much as I like the program, that's what happened with the program. Oh, yeah, that documentary James Fox did was the last one. Because of what I said with that one. This is the same thing. This is why you go to South by Southwest. You want someone to buy it. You want the Netflixes of the world to buy it. You want Amazon Prime or somebody, or not even, you want Cinemax, Max to buy it. You want someone, Netflix would probably be a good one because it's, if you have to buy, I know that Netflix, you have to buy it. I always say to people, and they always push back, I say, hey, if you have to buy it on pay-per-view, then it's harder for people to find. They're like, well, you got to pay for Netflix anyway. Yeah, but you already have it. So it'll get advertised to you. If it's one of the streaming services you already have, then you'll see it. And I think that that's what needs to happen. Peacock or whatever. It needs to get bought by one of these places. And Dan Farrow, who's the director, Ready Player One, and producer and all this, I think that maybe that will happen. Maybe Spielberg will get behind it in some way. I don't know. But nonetheless, important. What do you think about the details of this? Good, bad, irrelevant? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. And I wanted to thank everybody for being part of this channel, showing me the support that you have. I really appreciate it. I always tell people if you want to join, you want to be a member, it supports the channel. But I always offer a sponsor because I say if you want to support the channel and you get yourself something in the process, do it. Ridge, it's helped me so much in my personal life already. It makes things a lot easier. It's a great wallet. I'll tell you about it, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. I had a big, bulky, stupid wallet for a while. But now I don't. Why? Because I discovered Ridge. I didn't really know about Ridge. Now I found out about them. I love them. I didn't like that big stupid thing that I had before because it was just so bulky, and I could feel it like weighing me. I felt like I weighed like 5 extra pounds. What's great about these is that they're unique. They have a slim, modern design, and it holds a lot of cards. Plus, kashish. So what's so great about Ridge is they make it with premium materials. It's got aluminum, it's titanium, it's carbon fiber, and it doesn't take up your entire pant. I always want to say pant. That's what it takes up. It takes up your pant. Over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. I got the Giants one. You do the personalized ones, or your teams. I took the New York Giants, and I love them. They have a lifetime warranty. It's easy. It is literally the last wallet that I think you're ever going to have to buy. It's like Wolverine had a wallet. So over 100,000 5-star reviews, and if losing your wallet is the worst feeling in the world, but the beauty with the Ridge is they have an air tag attachment, so you always know exactly where it is before your panic mode kicks in. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all of their products. So Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale. You get off to 40% off at ridge.com/DTE. If you head on over to ridge.com/DTE to see their biggest sale of the year, you will not regret it. After you purchase it, they're going to say, hey, where did you hear about us? You got to tell them that Kristian over at DTE sent you. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Ridge, you're going to love it.